They thought it was just pocket change. A dusty quarter buried at the bottom of a drawer, ignored for decades. But what if I told you that one single coin, dated 1776 to 1976, marked with a tiny D, could be worth up to $999,000? That a forgotten Washington quarter, minted during America's bicentennial celebration, might hold the power to erase every debt, every overdue bill, and every sleepless night you've had about money, because tonight, we're exposing a rare quarter so deceptively ordinary, you might have it in your home right now. But here's the catch: one tiny mistake in the coin's design is the only thing separating junk from a jackpot. That it started with a man named Carl Thompson from Nebraska. He wasn't a collector. He was a father of 3, laid off, juggling rent, food, and hope. One night, he dumped a mason jar of coins on his kitchen table. Among them, a familiar quarter, dated 1776 to 1976, with that telltale D mint mark. But something looked off. The eagle on the back. It wasn't there. Instead, it had a colonial drummer boy. That night changed everything. Carl's coin sold for just under $950,000. One coin. One drawer. One chance, and the deeper we go into this quarter's story, the more mysterious and valuable it becomes. Why would a 1976 quarter be worth nearly $1 million? Because of a perfect storm, limited silver strikes, minting mistakes, and a design created only once in U.S. history. In 1976, to mark 200 years of American independence, the U.S. Mint released a special bicentennial quarter. But here's the twist: millions were made, yet only a few were struck on a rare 40% silver planchet by mistake at the Denver Mint, and fewer still had double strikes, die breaks, or design misalignments that slipped through inspection. These errors? They're gold mines in disguise. One such coin, silver-struck, D-mint, with a doubled Liberty and a missing edge reed, sold at auction for $999,000 in 2021. But here's what keeps collectors up at night: most of these quarters look just like the regular ones in your wallet. It's not the date. It's not even the drummer. It's what's hidden in the weight, the material, and the smallest minting flaws. Now pause. Think about your own coins. How many 1976 quarters have passed through your hands? Through vending machines, gas station counters, coin jars. And what if one, just one, was a misprinted silver-clad error, sitting there for 50 years unnoticed? Still not convinced? In 2023, a Colorado woman sold her bicentennial D-mint quarter for $768,000. Why? A rare die clash, where the reverse image bled into the obverse, making it one of the only known double-image bicentennial quarters to exist. Another man found his valuable quarter by pure accident. He was checking coin rolls for fun. He paid 25 cents. He walked away with $465,000. This isn't fantasy. This is happening to ordinary people, Americans just like you, who simply took the time to look. So how do you find the one? Start by checking for the 1776 to 1976 quarter with the D mint mark just beneath Washington's hairline. That's Denver. Flip it. If the reverse features a colonial drummer boy, you're on the right path. Now weigh it. If it's around 5.75 grams instead of the standard 5.67, you might have a 40% silver planchet. Next, inspect for doubling. Use a magnifying glass. Look at the word Liberty, the date, and In God We Trust. If letters look thick, overlapped, or shadowed, that's a double die, and that alone can skyrocket value to over $250,000. Feel the edges. A regular quarter has ridges. But if yours feels smooth or partially smooth, that's a minting error. Some of these off-metal errors have broken 6 figures at auction, but beware. There's a trap. Most 1976 D quarters are worth 25 cents. Even ones that look silver may just be nickel-plated fakes. Some scammers artificially age or alter coins to mimic valuable errors. That's why weight, details, and expert verification matter. Don't let a silver lookalike fool you out of a life-changing discovery. the key isn't just finding the right date, it's finding the hidden mistake inside that date, because one coin, just one, is all it takes to flip your life upside down. To pay off your house. To erase medical bills. To leave that job you hate and finally breathe again, and while some dream of winning the lottery, you don't need luck. You need knowledge. The difference between a 25-cent quarter and a $999,000 treasure is just awareness. Right now, people across America are emptying drawers. Coin jars. Car glove boxes. They're turning over sofa cushions, dumping old wallets, and cracking open coin rolls. Because they know, this quarter is real. And the time to find it is running out. Every day, more of these rare 1976 D-mint quarters disappear into private collections forever. Every hour, another one is bought and sealed in graded cases, off the market for good, but you still have a chance. So here's what you do next. Tonight, after this video, grab every quarter you can find. Look for 1776 to 1976. Focus on the Denver D mint mark. Weigh them. Study the edges. Examine every letter. And if something looks strange, don't ignore it. That's not a flaw. That could be your escape, because this isn't just about coins. It's about freedom. You've worked too hard. Struggled too long. Wasted too many years not knowing. Let this coin be the moment that everything changes, and if you find it, remember this moment, you didn't stumble upon a miracle. You recognized it. One that looks just like every other coin in your change jar, but it isn't. It's older. Quieter. More dangerous. Because if you don't know what you're looking at, you might just spend a coin that could wipe out your debt, pay off your mortgage, or give you the life you've been praying for. This isn't a rumor. It's real. And it starts with a 1966 Washington quarter with no mint mark. No one talks about this year. Everyone skips over it, thinking it's just another common coin. But that's exactly what makes it so powerful. Because inside certain 1966 quarters is a mistake, a silent error, that has turned pocket change into six-figure fortunes. One man in Oregon thought it was junk. He found it at the bottom of an old coffee tin in his father's garage. Weeks later, that exact quarter sold for $990,000 at auction. Why? What made that plain-looking coin so valuable? Before we answer that, ask yourself this: when was the last time you checked your old coins? Really checked them? Because if you've ignored your quarters from the 1960s, especially 1966, you could be sitting on a life-changing piece of American history. Here's the truth they don't tell you: 1966 was a transition year. America had just removed silver from most of its coinage, but not everything went smoothly. A few 1966 quarters were mistakenly struck on leftover silver planchets, blanks meant for older coins. These weren't supposed to exist. They defy the rules. But somehow, they made it out of the mint, and into circulation. Now imagine this: a quarter meant to be worthless, suddenly weighs slightly more. Sounds slightly different when dropped. And when tested, it reveals a silver composition that should have been extinct. That's the kind of mistake collectors dream about. That's the kind of mistake that changed one family's future forever. But that's not the only reason the 1966 quarter is so rare. This coin has no mint mark, and while that might seem normal, in this case, it's everything. Because the mint was trying to stop people from hoarding coins after the silver crisis, they left off mint marks intentionally. But without a mint mark, errors became harder to trace. A small batch from the Philadelphia Mint had dye breaks across Washington's face and neck, a specific dye crack pattern now known as the phantom scar. These error quarters are so rare that fewer than a dozen confirmed examples exist, and one sold for $1.2 million in a private transaction in 2022. Could your coin be one of them? Take a deep breath. Let's slow down and look closer. Start by flipping your 1966 quarter. Does it have a mint mark? If it does, it's not what we're looking for. No mint mark. Good. Now weigh it. A standard 1966 quarter should weigh around 5.67 grams. If yours weighs more, closer to 6.25 grams, you may be holding a silver error. Already your heart's racing, isn't it? But there's more. Look at the rim. Is the copper layer missing? Is the edge pure silver in color, with no orange tint? That's another sign of a silver planchet strike. And then, the die crack. Use a magnifier. Search across Washington's temple and neck. If there's a raised, jagged line, you may be staring at the phantom scar. Every few months, collectors miss these signs. They sell their coin for 25 cents, and someone else flips it for $800,000. That's not drama, that's reality. Here's the twist: not every 1966 no-mint mark quarter is valuable. In fact, most aren't. Some fakes have been created by artificially aging modern coins. Others are simply normal quarters that show wear from circulation. The tragedy is, many people either chase the wrong signs, or overlook the real ones. The secret is in the details. The weight. The rim. The sound. The die cracks, and here's the cruel part: once you spend it, you'll never get it back. That's what happened to a retired teacher in Ohio. She found a strange feeling quarter in her purse, used it at a vending machine, and didn't think twice. Months later, she saw a news report. Same year. Same weight. Same error. That machine ate her fortune. Gone. Forever. But you. You're here. Listening. Watching. Learning. This isn't about coins. This is about freedom. Imagine finally paying off those medical bills. Getting out of that crushing credit card trap. Giving your kid something better. Walking into work and quitting, because you don't need it anymore. This one coin could do that. And it might already be in your pocket. Thousands of Americans throw away opportunity every day because they don't know what they're holding. You're not going to be one of them. So here's what you do next: go to your drawers. Your jars. Your glove box. Search your inherited coin collections. Look for 1966 quarters. No mint mark. Weigh them. Check for the silver edge. Examine Washington's neck for the scar. If it checks out, don't wait. Contact a reputable coin dealer. Get it authenticated. And if it's real, it could change your life. Every legendary coin story begins the same way, with someone paying attention. So the question is, will your story be next, or will someone else find your fortune, because you didn't know what to look for? Check your coins. Your future might already be in your hands. Have you ever held a simple quarter in your hand, only to realize it could have paid off your entire mortgage? There's a coin out there, circulating quietly, hiding in drawers, pockets, glove compartments, that looks ordinary, but it's anything but. It's a 1980 Washington quarter. Nothing flashy, just a common date. Or so you thought. But here's the secret no one's told you: under the surface of some of these coins, a hidden error exists that transformed a 25-cent piece into a $984,000 life-changing jackpot at auction. And this story? It's not fiction. It actually happened. Someone, just like you, stumbled upon this rare treasure without knowing what they had until a coin dealer nearly fainted at the sight. Now, imagine this: your bills stacked on the kitchen table. Your mind racing. Gas prices. Rent. Maybe that medical emergency that keeps you up at night. Then, imagine the weight of all of that disappearing with one tiny discovery: something you already own. That's the power of this rare 1980 Washington quarter with a P mint mark. But why this coin? Why 1980? Let me take you back. In 1980, the Philadelphia Mint began placing a P mint mark on quarters for the first time in history. Before this, Philly coins didn't carry a mint mark at all. So the appearance of a P wasn't just a minor update, it was the beginning of something collectors obsessed over. But here's the twist: while millions were made, a small handful were struck using leftover experimental planchets and misaligned dies, errors so rare, so unique, they've driven collectors into bidding wars. One of these misstruck 1980 quarters, yes, with a visible P, was discovered with a double die obverse. The date, the motto, and even George Washington's profile, all showed visible doubling under magnification. But to the naked eye, you'd miss it. That coin. It sold for a jaw-dropping $984,000 at a private auction. And it was found in a jar of old change. Just sitting there. For decades, what would you do if that happened to you? Would you quit your job? Pay off debt? Finally take that road trip you've dreamed about for years? Don't answer yet. Because here's where it gets crazier, some of these 1980 quarters also appeared with a transitional error, struck on leftover silver planchets intended for special mint sets. That means instead of the usual copper-nickel clad material, a few were minted on 40% silver blanks. And these don't just fetch thousands. One sold for $1.2 million because of its weight, metallic composition, and proof level striking error. You wouldn't know unless you weighed it precisely, 6.25 grams instead of the standard 5.67. And here's the question no one's asking, how many more of these are still out there? Let that sink in. Now you're probably thinking, how do I know if I have one? Start with the basics. Look for the 1980 date with a P mint mark on the obverse side. Check for clear signs of doubling, especially on the words, "In God We Trust," and "Liberty." Use a magnifier. Pay attention to the edges, some misstrikes have uneven, partial reading. Weigh the coin. A silver error will be heavier, 6.25 grams. And listen closely, if the quarter rings with a high-pitched chime instead of a dull clink, you may be holding silver, but don't stop there, because there's a dangerous trap. There's a nearly identical 1980 quarter, also with a P, that's completely worthless beyond face value. Mass-produced, error-free, and visually the same to an untrained eye. This is where collectors get burned. They sell too early, misidentify errors, or even worse, spend the coin. Gone forever. Thousands have already made that mistake. Don't be one of them, and just when you think you've seen everything, here's a twist that's blown open the doors for collectors. A tiny batch of 1980 P quarters were accidentally struck with design elements from 1979 master dies. These are known as mule errors, where two mismatched dies were paired. These coins are so rare that some collectors would trade an entire vintage set just to own one. Only a few have surfaced, and one sold quietly for over $892,000. You may never see one of these in your lifetime, unless you check the coins you already owe WN.SO right now. Ask yourself, when was the last time you looked through your change jar? What about those coins in your car, or the ones you inherited from a family member? Have you ever really looked? Because this isn't just about coins. It's about what they represent. A way out. A second chance, freedom. One viewer watched a video just like this and checked an old plastic bag of coins their grandfather left behind. Inside, a 1980 quarter with a visible double die. It sold for $129,000. They paid off credit cards, moved to a better neighborhood, and started a small business. All from one overlooked coin. You could be next, but only if you act. Now don't assume you don't have it. Don't wait for another collector to grab your $1,000,000 moment. Go. Right now. Search your drawers. Dump out your coin jar. Get a magnifier, a scale, and a flashlight. Look for the P, look for the errors. Weigh everything. Inspect everything. Because this tiny disc of metal could hold the key to changing your entire financial future, and if you find it, you won't just be holding a coin, you'll be holding a miracle. Because a man from Kentucky, out of work and drowning in debt, found that exact coin sitting in a coffee can in his garage. That quarter, lost for decades, turned out to be one of the rarest modern errors in U.S. coinage history. It paid off his mortgage, cleared $32,000 in medical bills, and gave him the chance to finally retire early and breathe for the first time in 20 years. The 1982 Washington quarter with the P mint mark is more than a collector's item, it's a hidden gateway. A whisper from history that could rescue someone from financial disaster, if you know what to look for. But why this coin? What makes it so special? Let me take you back to 1982, a turbulent year in the U.S. economy. Recession gripped the nation. The US Mint, facing budget cuts and rising metal costs, made a massive change. They stopped producing coins with mint marks at some locations, but not at Philadelphia. This was the very first year that Philadelphia Mint quarters officially got a P mark. Before 1980, Philadelphia coins were silent, unmarked. But by '82, that tiny P held weight, and when a rare die error struck a specific batch of those quarters, the result was chaos in the numismatic world. Some of these 1982 P quarters were misstruck on transitional planchets. Others carried a double die reverse. And a small handful were struck using silver composition blanks left over from a previous run, coins that were never meant to exist. That's right, among thousands of ordinary quarters, just a few were accidentally struck with 90% silver metal, long after the silver era ended. And one of them sold for a staggering $971,000 at a Florida estate auction in 2019. Now ask yourself, how many 1,982 quarters have you spent, flipped, lost in couch cushions? How many life-changing chances have passed through your fingers without you ever realizing it? These coins look so normal. They don't scream for attention. But that's the trap. Every collector's nightmare is simple, owning the rare coin, but never knowing it, until it's too late. So here's how you know you've got the right one. First, flip the coin and check the mint mark. It should be a crisp, clean P just to the right of Washington's ponytail. If there's no mint mark, it's not the one. If there's a D, you're looking at a Denver mint, not valuable. Now here's where it gets intense. Weigh the coin. A standard clad 1982 quarter weighs 5.67 grams. But the rare silver error weighs closer to 6.25 grams. That difference? It's the difference between a 25-cent snack and a six-figure windfall. If you feel that weight in your hand, your heart will pound before you even finish reading the scale. And we haven't even talked about the double die yet. On some rare 1982 P quarters, the word Liberty is doubled, so is the date. It's subtle, but once you see it, you can't unsee it. And collectors are paying top dollar. One verified double die 1982 P recently fetched $412,000 at private sale. Now, before you run to check your stash, you need to know the twist. There's a nearly identical 1982 quarter out there, same date, same mint mark, that's worth nothing more than face value. Because it's worn down, damaged, or simply doesn't carry any of the rare errors. Many hopeful collectors have sold too soon, or worse, ignored the signs and gave it away. So don't make that mistake. If you've got a 1982 P quarter, hold it. Study it. Weigh it. Look for doubling. Look for planchet flaws, especially the kind that show weak detail from a struck-through error or a design clash, because once you know what to look for, you'll never see pocket change the same way again. Now I want you to imagine something. It's late at night. You're sitting at your kitchen table with a shoebox full of coins from your dad's old drawer. You're broke. Bills piling up. You need something, anything, to go right, and then you feel it. A heavy quarter. Slightly off color. The date reads 1982. There's a tiny P, and it weighs just a little more than it should. You hold your breath. What if this is the one? That's what happened to a single mom in Arizona. Divorced. Raising 2 kids. She found the silver variant of the 1982 P quarter while sorting coins for a school fundraiser. She almost gave it away, until she looked closer. It sold at auction for $638,000. Today, she owns a home. No debt. No fear. This isn't fantasy. These quarters are real, but they're vanishing fast, snatched up by collectors, lost in machines, or destroyed without a second glance. That's why you need to check now. Not tomorrow. Not next week. Look in that kitchen drawer. Open the old coin jar. Check the coins sitting in your car's cup holder, because that ordinary-looking 1982 Washington quarter with the P mint mark could be the lifeline you never expected. And the saddest truth. Most people will never know. They'll throw it away. Spend it. Lose it. And the dream they've been praying for will disappear with it. But you're not most people. You're here now, you know the signs. You've been given the map. Go check, because one coin, one moment, could change everything. And what he found, what he held in his hand, was a 1990 Washington quarter with a P mint mark. The very coin that would go on to sell for an earth-shattering $955,000 at auction. One simple glance changed everything. His debt, erased. His job, quit the next morning. And the life he thought he'd never escape. Gone in seconds. Now I need to ask you, have you ever checked your change that closely? Because if you're holding this coin, right now, your life could be one decision away from unimaginable freedom. You see, the 1990 Washington quarter is hiding something, a rare and costly mistake that slipped through the cracks of the US Mint. Most people would never notice it. In fact, millions have already spent it, unknowingly passing over their ticket to financial salvation, but not you. Not today. This quarter is more than just metal. It's a secret, a fluke of history and precision. And if you know what to look for, it could be your key to a new life, free from credit card bills, overdue rent, and the anxiety that keeps you up at night. But here's where the story turns. That in the spring of 2019, a quiet coin collector from Pennsylvania stumbled upon a peculiar 1990 quarter while sorting through a bag of old change left by his grandfather. At first glance, it looked ordinary. But then, something didn't feel right. The weight. The edges. The mint mark. And when he finally had it evaluated by experts, jaws hit the floor. The P mint mark was subtly misaligned, an error caused by a damaged die at the Philadelphia Mint. But that wasn't the only thing. This specific quarter had silver traces in its composition. That shouldn't be possible. By 1990, silver was long gone from regular quarters. Yet this anomaly, had somehow inherited a blend meant only for testing. That it sold for $955,000 at public auction. That you're probably wondering, how could a regular coin like that slip through? And could you be holding one just like it? Here's the truth. In 1990, the mint was transitioning between machines and production batches. A small number of quarters were struck with incorrect die setups, leading to bizarre variants, misplaced mint marks, off-center strikes, even leftover silver blanks from old reserve stock. These mistakes were never meant to exist. But they do, and they're out there, somewhere, in someone's jar. In someone's pocket, maybe even yours. Now listen closely, because what I'm about to tell you could be the difference between tossing away nearly $1 million, or cashing in. First, check the mint mark. The 1990 quarter with a P mint mark is standard. But some were printed with the P floating too far right or even barely visible due to die deterioration. If your quarter's mint mark looks strange, off balance, faint, or even ghosted, you're onto something. Second, feel the weight. A regular 1990 quarter weighs exactly 5.67 grams. But the rare one comes in closer to 6.25 grams. Why? Silver content. Just a small percentage more, but enough to raise flags. Weigh every quarter you find from this year. Especially the ones that feel just a bit off. Third, examine the rim. Rare 1990 quarters may have a partial or missing reeded edge, a sign of misaligned striking. Some also feature tiny die cracks or doubling in the words "Liberty" or "In God We Trust." These are not flaws. They're signs you found something extraordinary, and yet, there's a trap. Some counterfeits and non-valuable variants look almost identical. There are 1990 quarters with faded P marks due to circulation wear. These are not valuable. The secret lies in precision, an exact combination of weight, die error, and minting anomaly. Don't be fooled, because while one version can pay off your mortgage, the other is worth 25 cents. That's the danger. That's the thrill. That's the game we play as collectors, treasure hunters, and believers in the impossible. But here's what breaks my heart. Thousands, tens of thousands, have already missed their chance. They tossed the quarter into a vending machine. They paid for gas. They let it go, unaware of what they held. Don't make that mistake. This isn't just about money. This is about transformation. Imagine waking up tomorrow and knowing your financial burden is gone. That every sleepless night spent worrying about your kids' college or your own retirement is over. That one coin, one quarter, could rewrite your family's story forever. That's what this is. That's why this matters. Right now, go to your change drawer. Dig into your cup holder. Pull out your coin jar. Search your wallet, your purse, your old jeans, your toolbox, anywhere a forgotten coin could be hiding. Check every 1990 quarter you find. Use a scale. Use a magnifier. Look twice, because the next time someone holds up a news article about a $955,000 quarter found by a regular person in a regular house, it could be about you, but only if you check, only if you act, only if you believe that miracles don't always come in lottery tickets or bank accounts, but sometimes, in the quiet clink of a quarter, long forgotten, finally found. The 1990 Washington quarter with the P mint mark is calling. Will you answer, or will you let it slip away forever? Imagine this: a retired mechanic in Ohio is cleaning out a jar of old coins left behind by his father. Among hundreds of nickels and quarters, one coin looks completely ordinary, a 1992 Washington quarter with a D mint mark. Nothing flashy, nothing unusual at first glance. But when he takes it to a local shop out of pure curiosity, the shop owner goes pale. Within weeks, that same quarter sells at auction $4,900,000. How? That's the question millions of Americans should be asking right now, because this coin is hiding in plain sight. And the reason it's worth more than most people's homes is because of a microscopic mistake. Before you rush off to dig through your change, stay with me. Because by the time this story ends, you'll know exactly how to identify the rare 1992 D Washington quarter that could change your life forever. Back in 1992, the Denver Mint struck millions of quarters, most of them worth only 25 cents today. But somewhere in the chaos of die manufacturing, something happened. A rare die variety was used, possibly by accident, possibly during a rushed replacement. This created a coin with a unique error that only a few collectors even know exists, that tiny minting flaw. It turned a worthless coin into a six-figure treasure. Now ask yourself, when was the last time you actually looked at the quarters in your wallet? The most valuable 1992 D Washington quarter ever sold was auctioned for over $900,000. And yes, you heard that right. Almost $1 million, for a coin most people would ignore at the bottom of a gas station tip jar. But what made it different? Let's dig deeper. It's called a transitional error, a nightmare for the US Mint, but a dream for collectors. In 1992, the US Mint was shifting between different types of dies, and in a few rare cases, they struck quarters using a reverse die intended for the next year's design, specifically, the 1993 reverse. It's subtle. Almost invisible unless you know what to look for. But to the trained eye, it's the jackpot. Even more specific, you need to find a 1992 quarter with the D mint mark and a reverse that lacks the sharp definition of the 1992 design. It has what's known as the Type 2 reverse, thinner letters, especially in United States of America, and quarter dollar, and a crisper, more modern eagle. But unless you compare side by side, you'd never notice that. So here's the cliffhanger. How do you know if your 1992 D quarter is the one? Start by turning the coin over. Focus on the lettering. Is it bold and thick, or clean and thin like the 1993 quarter? Look at the tail feathers of the eagle. Does it match the standard 1992 style, or something slightly more refined? Because here's the twist, there are two types of 1992 D quarters. One is common, worthless. And the other is a ghost, so rare that fewer than a dozen have been confirmed in pristine condition. One could set you free from debt, the other is just pocket change. Collectors call this the 1992 D close AM quarter, because another telltale sign is how the letters A and M in America are spaced. If they're too close, if they almost touch, you may be holding a national treasure, but that's not all. Some rare examples are also struck on planchets with a slightly different metal mix, closer to the 90% silver blanks used in proof coins, though it's extremely rare. That weight difference can be spotted with a precise scale. 5.67 grams is normal. Anything off, and you could be looking at a minting accident worth hundreds of thousands. Think about this. What if that one dusty jar in your kitchen drawer holds the exact coin someone would pay $900,000 for? What if it's been sitting there, untouched, while you've worried about bills, credit cards, or scraping by with 2 jobs, do you know how many people have thrown these quarters back into circulation without a second thought? Thousands. And they'll never know what they lost. Because they didn't stop, and look, and right now, someone, maybe you, is holding their future in the palm of their hand and doesn't even realize it. You don't need a degree in numismatics. You don't need fancy tools. You just need awareness. Curiosity. The willingness to look closer. If you're watching this video, it means you've already taken the first step, but here's the haunting truth: most people will click away, go back to scrolling, and miss the once-in-a-lifetime chance to find a $900,000 quarter. Will you start checking? Look at every 1992 quarter with a D mint mark. Hold it to the light. Compare the reverse. Is the eagle sharper? Are the letters thinner? Is AM nearly touching? If so, stop everything. Get it checked. Because you might be holding the very coin collectors are fighting over in secret bidding wars right now. This isn't just about coins. It's about freedom. The kind of freedom that comes from finding the key to your dreams in the last place you'd expect. You're changed. You're not just chasing treasure, you're chasing a new beginning. So go. Search. Turn over every coin. Look in the ashtray, the old drawer, the box your grandpa left behind. Because the 1992 Washington quarter that could change your life might already be in your house, and if you find it, everything changes.